Hello, everybody, and welcome to my MFT National Exam page. I have been on the fence about doing this for a while now, and I've had so many people coming to me telling me, you need to do it, you need to start it. There are so many different people out here that need your support. They need your help, especially when it comes to passing this exam. I may be new to other people, but there are a lot of people who know who I am. My name is KerryHurt. I don't know if anybody has seen my name or heard my name out there. I'm getting these messages from people saying that people are talking about you in our Discord apps. There's a few people that are talking about you at my university in the group that you run on Facebook. So my name is kind of getting out there. So then I wanted to make a platform where everyone would have the opportunity to reap the benefits if you are not in my group that's on Facebook. I will provide my link to my group on Facebook if you would like to join it. My Facebook group is called Failing is Not an Option. And I am really, really big on just the words that we speak, the words that we say to ourselves, the words that we have to hear. I am really big on that. So when I started out on this journey, that was one of the biggest things that was kind of mind-boggling to me, listening to people talk about how many times they've taken it, how many times they failed it. So I decided to put together this PowerPoint presentation so that everyone was able to hear my testimony, and then I walk you through my journey of passing the MFT national exam on the first time. I've worked with a lot of people who has done it on the first time. I want everyone to pass this exam on the first time. Okay. That is it. That is all. So the next slide that I talk about is in the beginning, I joined Facebook groups. That's what everybody does. The LMFT website tells you, join a Facebook group, get to know other people. But there are pros and cons to those Facebook groups if you're not careful about the Facebook group that you join into. So I had joined some, and there is the pros of them. It's very supportive. You do have a lot of people in there. Their goal is the same thing that you're trying to do, which is to do what? Pass the freaking exam, right? People post practice questions, and other study materials that they have, even though you're not supposed to be doing it, but whatever. And that's good because people get to experience what the actual test is going to be like when it comes to the questions. However, there are cons to some of those Facebook groups if you're not careful about which one that you're going to join in. I joined this one Facebook group where everyone was just so negative. Everyone was arguing about things, arguing about the questions, talking about how many times they failed the exam. I failed it 10 times. I can't keep doing this. I don't have the money for this. It was making me so anxious. It would increase my anxiety every negative post that I would have to read. People's arguing over the right or wrong question. I don't know if the question is right or wrong. I've never even experienced these questions in my life. So then now I'm kind of I'm getting anxious. And when I'm anxious, I can't study properly. So you know what the next thing I had to do, right? I left those Facebook groups and I studied by myself. It was far too much negativity for me. My anxiety was through the roof. I was having dreams about failing this exam. Oh my God, it was difficult. It was terrible. I had no confidence in myself at all because everybody are constantly saying, I've taken this exam 10 times. And I was like, oh my God, am I going to be taking this exam 10 different times? So I left those Facebook groups and I decided to do what? I studied with God. That is exactly what I did. I am a very spiritual person. People will learn that about me. If you're not a spiritual person, that's fine. I'm not shunning anybody here, but I am. I left. I would, before my study sessions, I always prayed with God first. Talk to God first before I started studying. God, please give me the clarity. God, please give me the understanding for me to maintain, for me to understand this information that I'm going to be studying. I left those Facebook group with a quickness because they wasn't doing anything for me. And when I started studying alone, that's when my confidence started to increase and I started to, understand things better and was, better able to even, grasp the concept from what I was reading. And each study session, I only study 2 hours only. And I'll dive deeper in that the further we go down to these slides. This is how I studied. So I use Laugh Your Way to Licensure, which is Diane Gerhardt. That's what the LYWTO stands for, just in case nobody knows. And I use Eli Karam's book. In his book, after the end of each chapter, there's a quiz where you can test your knowledge. So I always test my knowledge before I started a new chapter, just to see how much I knew. I urge everyone to do that, just to see. You will be surprised about how much information you know. Just do it and see how much you know. Once I would finish the quiz, then I would go back and do the chapter. And then I would go back again and quiz myself again using either Life Your Way to Licensure or LMFT, just to see, just to get grasp of things and see, this material has this and this material doesn't. Because I will be honest with you when I tell you, all studying programs does not, teach you everything the same way that another program is. So what one lacks, the other one makes up for. That's just me. That's my philosophy. I study 2 hours only a day. I have had people telling me that they're studying 5 and 6 hours a day. That's overkill. You're hurting yourself. Please stop. Your brain I don't think is really wired to even do that much. 2 hours is enough. What you learn in 2 hours won't change in 4 and 5 hours. That's my philosophy. If you feel like studying 4 and 5 hours is for you, then by any means necessary, go ahead and do it. But then you got to give yourself some grace. Don't be doing that every single day. Give yourself some grace. I study 2 hours a day because I studied every single day. If you're going to study 4 and 5 hours a day, then don't be doing that every single day. I think it's overkill. That's just me. That's just me. But hey, you do what you think is going to be best for the exam. So how long did I study for? I studied 2 months. I've had people tell me that they've been studying for this exam 2 years. No, stop studying. You've studied too much. You have the information. You can relay Bowen, strategic therapy, structural therapy, the back of your hand. It's not the studying that you're doing, it's how you are looking at those questions. 6 weeks, I studied the study material. 2 weeks, I did the mock exam, practice exam, and test bank. Plethora of them. Thousands and thousands of questions I have studied. Monday through Friday, 2 hours a day. And on a Saturday morning, if I felt like it, I would get up and I would do a review for 1 hour only. No more than that. And on Sunday, that was my rest day because I got to listen to my gospels. I got to listen to my elevation music, and I got to get myself back ready to prepare myself for the next studying week. Each day that I studied the exact same time every day. Do not change your studying time. Your body and your mind needs to be like with one another and being prepared each day for that moment that you are going to study. That's what I did. That was the easiest for me. 6 to 8 o'clock each time. And then Saturday morning, maybe I would do 11 o'clock to noon on a Saturday morning. Now, the mock exams and the test banks, these were my best friends, okay? And I'm going to let everybody know right now. Here is the thing. What your state, I'm in Illinois, your state doesn't want you to know, the ins and out of some of these questions. But, honey, see, I did that. I studied over thousands of these questions, did different types of questions, and saw how they are answered across the board the exact same way. Don't stray from it. And I will go deeper into that once I get my channel and stuff up and running. But this is a plethora of the test banks and stuff that I use. AATBS, great, thousands of questions. Laugh Your Way to Licensure, that's Diane Gerhardt, love it. She teaches you how to do the breadcrumbs. She teaches you the red light, green light technique, and she also has our PowerPoint presentations and everything. Jerry Grossman test banks, thousands of questions. I think Jerry Grossman's are much more harder than AATBS. But again, every question that you use is a time for you to make it a learning opportunity. Study.com, test.coms, pocket preps, PDF test banks, Eli Karam, Violini, etc. So many different things that I use because I told myself I'm taking this exam one time and one time only. And that is what I did. So everybody's financial situation is not the same. So if you cannot do this, that's fine. But here's the thing. I need you to get in a group or some place that is going to offer you a lot of the help and the support that you need. I want everybody to be well-rounded in their studying. That is how I did it for myself. However, there are people who studied for this exam 2 weeks and passed. I'm not that kind of girl. If you're that kind of person, then hey, more power to you. But I wasn't. I wanted to be well-rounded in my studying, and that's what I did. I'm not saying that you have to do that. If you would like to, that's what I did. But also, if you're going to do this, you have to make sure that you are reading for understanding. This is not an exam for memory. Do not attempt to memorize this material. You must obtain the understanding so that you have the clarity so that when it does come to those questions, you recognize them, you understand them, you know what type it is, and you know how to answer them. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, test day. This is what I did when it came to test day. I finished my exam in 2 hours, and this is about to be my testimony, okay? I finished this exam in 2 hours. Before I started, I sat there, I prayed, I centered myself. And one of the major things that I asked God was, God, please guide me through these questions. God, please highlight these answers for me. For the ones that I cannot see, make them seen for me. God, please slow my heart rate down so that I can concentrate, so that I can have clarity and understanding for these questions. You must decrease your anxiety before you start taking this exam. I was flying through those questions. And you know what else I was doing? I was laughing at those questions, because those questions, if you've taken this exam already, you know that those questions are ridiculous. The other lady sitting next to me was like, "Are you okay?" I said, "I'm fine. This exam is just ridiculous." I was laughing at those questions and some of those responses that they were given on this exam. Like, I can't believe they would put these kind of questions on this exam. I got to the end of that test and I was like, oh my God, I have 2 hours left. So then I stopped again and I talked to God and I said, is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? So the main question that I asked God was, if there is any reason for me to go back and change an answer, God, give me a sign. I heard a voice that said, submit the exam. I submitted the exam. I threw my hands up and I left. I didn't go back and change a single thing. And I didn't flag anything neither, because flagging tells me that it's negative and something wrong with it. And when I see them flags down the side over there, that tells me that I got to go back. And no, honey, I don't go back. I'm not going back. Because when you go back, that means you're second guessing yourself. And here's the thing. This is why I say you must decrease your anxiety before you start the exam. You start that exam with anxiety, you are going to start to do what? You're going to start overthinking. You're going to start second guessing yourself. And then when you start second guessing yourself, you're going to become frustrated. And frustration is going to lead you to answer incorrectly. Decrease your anxiety before you click start. Before you begin that exam, slow your anxiety down. Slow that heart rate down so that you can think clearly when it comes to answering those questions. Use the highlighting feature. You got to find the breadcrumbs. Diane Gerhardt taught us about the breadcrumbs, and I can talk about that too. But that was one of the major things that I did. I used that highlighting feature. Use that scratch out method too when it comes to those responses. Get rid of those two. The obvious two are going to stick out like a sore thumb, and you're going to be two left. You're going to have two left that you're going to have to finalize. But get rid of those two that's sticking out like a sore thumb and do not go back to them. 2 hours, I finished it. That may not be for you, but that was me. That was just my testimony that I had. The hard work and everything that I put in, I believe really helped me with that, okay? I'm not here to say, oh, it took you 3 hours, 4 hours. No, I'm not saying that to you. If you need the extra hours, then take it. Take up as much time as you need. Slow down and read those questions. Read those questions for clarity. Read those questions for understanding. Do not choose a response until you have enough evidence for you. And we'll talk about that in the next slide. These are my exam tips. And I have a plethora of much more, but I couldn't fit them all on this little itty bitty slide. But do not second guess yourself unless you have enough information to do so. I have worked with multiple people, studied with so many people that by the time they got to me, their greatest enemies were overthinking and second guessing themselves. When you're overthinking and second guessing yourself, that means that you don't have clarity or an understanding of the material. And the only way that you're going to decrease that is for you to have that confidence. And we'll talk about that more in the next slide. But do not second guess yourself. 9 times out of 10, that first answer that came to your mind, it's right. Your brain is wired that way. This is why our brains are made this way. It knows the information. You've been studying it long enough. There's no need for you to second guess yourself. Like I said prior, once you get rid of those obvious two that are incorrect, don't go back and try to make them fit, because you know they don't fit. Them answers don't make a bit of sense. Them answers don't match that vignette. Don't go back and try to make them fit. You're going to be upset with yourself. Trust me. Now, before you choose an answer, be sure you have enough evidence to support your answer. That vignette is what you have to find the answer. Don't go thinking about what you did in your therapy session, what you've heard about outside of, this test exam or whatever. That vignette has every single bit of information that you need to find in that answer response. One of the things that I heard a lot of people saying was that, oh, well, the questions is tricky, the responses are tricky. No. And if you keep telling yourself that, that's what they're going to be to you. Those questions have the answer to what you need to find in those responses. That is it. That is all. One of the things that I used to always do was I always talked my way through the responses. Well, this can't be right because this doesn't match this. Well, why would I do this if this is not being said in the vignette? Talk to yourself. Talk your way through it. You know this information. Be clear of what that question is asking you. You need to know what the question is asking you. That means you need to know what type of question that it is. Legal questions require a legal response, not an ethical one. That is how it goes. You cannot answer a question that is asking you about goals and then you respond with an intervention. You're going to get it wrong every single time. And I'll dive deeper in that in my next video that I post about it. But yes, those are just a few of my exam tips. Now this next slide is very, very, very important. And I need everyone to pay attention to this. You need to decrease your anxiety in order to increase your confidence. That is how I passed this exam. When I was in those Facebook groups, I was just like a ball of anxiety. When I got out of it, decreased it. Once I decreased that anxiety, I gained the clarity and the understanding of the material. Once you have clarity, understanding of the material, your confidence is going to go through the roof. Because then, you know why? That means that you know it. That means that you understand it. That means that when it comes to those questions, you know how to answer them the correct way. That is it. That is all. This is, I weighed heavily on this, was decreasing my anxiety, forgetting about what another person was saying, how another person took them 10 times past it, forgetting about all of that and just focused on me, what I needed to do in order to obtain the understanding of strategic therapy, obtain the understanding of, structural therapy, or even, Virginia Satir's model of change. Like I had to do that. You're going to have to do it. At some point, this exam is going to be a part of you, to be a part of your life until you pass it. Until you pass it, it will be a part of your life. So that leads me to my final thoughts here. Failing is not an option. And one of my biggest things is when a person reaches out to me and they're like, hey, Kerry, like, can you help me? Can you please talk to me? Can you please study with me or whatever? One of the first things I ask them is, how many times have you taken this exam? And one of the major things that I tell them, we are done giving the state of Illinois, the state of Idaho, Ohio, Mexico, Hawaii, whoever the case may be, we are done giving them our money. We're done with that. Failing is not an option anymore. And I want people to have that, when they start studying, that this is my first and my last time taking this exam. That is a mindset that I want you to have. That is a mindset that I want you to always keep when you are studying, when you're looking at those questions, when you're studying those the responses to those questions, the rationales to those questions. This is my first and my last time taking it. I'm done with this. Failing is not going to be an option for me, because although the states love it when you fail, because then you got to pay that $370 again, and then I guess, I don't know if it goes up $5 or whatever, how many times or whatever. The state loves that, but we're not giving them that anymore. We're not giving any more energy into this anymore, because the first time that we do it, we are going to do it right. And the way that you are going to do it right is you are going to do what you need to obtain that clarity and that understanding of these materials. That is one way to do it, but you also need to know how to answer the questions the right way. This exam weighs heavily on content, yes, but you also need to know how to answer the questions the correct way. That's all that I did. That's all that I learned how to do when I was studying, was understand how to answer the questions, how these types of questions are answered the same way across the board. I have studied with, I believe, about, I want to say 10 people personally to take this exam, and they've passed it. I've studied with people who have taken this exam 5, 6, 7, 8 times, and by the time they got to me, I said before, their greatest enemies were what? Overthinking and second guessing themselves. And when you're overthinking and second guessing yourself, it means that you don't have the clarity or the understanding of the material that you have in order to answer these questions, which mean I need to know how to answer these questions the right way. Forget about what you do in your therapy sessions. I had to do the exact same thing. This exam ain't asking you what you do in your studies, in your sessions. This exam is giving you a question. The answer is in that question, and your best bet is to do what? Find that answer that is in that question. It's there. Trust me. It's there. I sat down in that chair, and these are my final thoughts. I sat down in that chair on my test day, and I told myself, I can do a 130. I can give a 130. Like I have been seeing that the passing score was 129, 129, 127, 128. I can do a 130. I'm in the state of Illinois. I sat in that chair, and I gave myself a goal. But when I went to look and I opened that piece of paper, I did way more, 148 out of 180. And then I was kind of upset with myself. I'm like, I thought I had way more, right than that. But okay, whatever the case may be. But the thing is, get as many points as you possibly can, right? Failing is not an option. We are done paying the state of Illinois, the state of Ohio, the state of Indiana, Texas, whoever, Florida, wherever you are done paying the state that $370. This is it. This is it. Your time is now. It is time for you to pass. It is time for you to be an LMFT. If that is what you're going for, the time is now. If you're going for your LMFTA, the time is definitely now. This is it. These are my final thoughts for you. I will leave my Facebook group link in my bio or wherever you put it. I'm new to this, so forgive me. I'll figure it out. And then if you want to join my group, join my group. But if you are going to join, I am going to ask you, please answer my questions before you join the group, or else I will decline you and tell you to answer the questions. I've had about 3 scammers get in there, and they're starting with their shenanigans. So please, 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 if you want to join my group, you have to answer the questions, and I will let you in. It's been a pleasure. It has been an honor. Please keep this in mind. Failing is not an option. You have A, B, C, and D up there, and failing is not one of those options.